Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. It is Friday again, gotta love it. Folks, it's always great to be back here with you on a Fitness Friday. And last time, I highlighted the value of diversity and inclusion, something that is so important, not only in the fitness industry, but just across all industries and across all sectors. You know, this issue of diversity and inclusion is something that is certainly top of mind. When you look at some of your top corporations, it is something in the workplace and in business. It is just something that cannot be underestimated. So I challenge you to evaluate where you stand in terms of your diversity and inclusion. And I actually highlighted last time, you know, when people like, how do you choose? How do you decide which ones? So when you rarely see me inside of a fitness facility doing, particularly for a Fitness Friday, just recognize that is a result of, remember, there's Rachelle the professional and there's Rachelle the person. And so Rachelle the professional, the criteria is very different than in terms of evaluating than Rachelle the person would. That's, for example, as I highlighted the Princeton of Planet Fitness, the West Bloomfield, Michigan location. Now on a personal level, I get hot because they, at least they used to, you know, during my visits. I'd been there 7 times, but their fans above the cardio areas were going in slow motion. And so I tended to get hot there, not a fan of that at all. But professionally, the temperature is fine. Again, I'm an outlier. I know that from a workout perspective. I'm cross training, my intensity level's high during my workouts. So that I'm an outlier from that standpoint. But see, that's the difference. That shows the dichotomy of Rachelle the person versus Rachelle the professional. From a professional standpoint, they're on point, the temperature is fine, and so that's an example of why why you see me in certain facilities and how rare that is, because there's a lot. They'll put a lot of thought into that, and when I make those decisions. And I also highlighted last time my list. My short list of potential contenders in this category of locations where I can do, you know, in club type of videos and filming based on just their commitment to inclusion. Specifically, as I alluded to, you know, You Belong is actually one of the brand promises of Planet Fitness. And so I'm evaluating inclusiveness from just many different angles. And so for me even personally, you know, as I mentioned, having the 3 cable stations, cable news stations, versus just 2, which is very, very common. You know, so from a marketing for a market segmentation standpoint, there's one segment of the population, definitely politically and ideologically, that's being left out in that situation. And interestingly enough, I fall into that category of the category that's being left out. And so, and I mentioned, except for these 5 locations here in the Metro Detroit area. So when you saw me do the videos for my 25-year fitness anniversary on May 17th of this year, did it from the Princeton of Planet, West Bloomfield, Michigan. Also did my 2-year anniversary video from that location on June 28th, 2017. I always have so many dates in my mind. So that was my 2-year anniversary with Planet Fitness. But I do have, there's actually now 5 locations, being Dearborn, Michigan, the Ford Road location, Bloomfield Township, Michigan, the West Bloomfield that I've done 2 from, Southfield, Michigan, as well. And the newest, and I mentioned this last time, the newest entrant into consideration as of July 2nd of this year is the Livonia location on 5 Mile Road. And so, you know, new manager there, Sharif. And so now we've got the 3rd cable station, you know, TV number 12. I couldn't be more pleased to see that. And so now we've got 5. So it used to just be 4 in terms of considerations, the ones that I would consider doing during videos from, but now we've got 5. And so it starts with, as I mentioned, we have a lot of different clubs in this area. And so I narrowed it down based on the inclusiveness of even something like that. What cable news stations are being showed? Is it all 3? Is it just 2? Whatever. So that is something that is very important. You see that actually complaint sprinkled across clubs, not only courses for Planet Fitness, but just, you know, private clubs, franchise clubs in general. This whole TV viewing situation is something you want to pay attention to. It's very important. But I wanted to highlight that's an example of when you can get additional coverage and publicity and folks speaking and saying positive things about your gym. It's the little things that mean a lot. But folks, I wanted to shift gears here as I share some final thoughts here. It's the last episode of the series. Woo! And it's been quite a meaty one. I know it's been meaty for me, and I know it's been equally as meaty for you. And so these marketing series are always fun. There's always a lot of content to cover. And so I just wanted to share a couple of main thoughts here on this final episode. And I rarely do a final thoughts after a leadership series, but I think this is something that is just so important. And I'm going to leave you not for long. I'll be coming back to this again before the end of the year. But the SWOT analysis, just wanted to just highlight it again, that the value of a SWOT analysis. Your Amazon, your companies that are killing it from a marketing perspective are absolutely doing these types of things. They are obsessed, and that's not even the wrong word. That is absolutely the right word. They are obsessed with the competition. All right, Apple is obsessed with Samsung. Samsung is obsessed with Apple and LG. And I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. But our major market players, they got this stuff down, particularly this area down here where the threats occur. So just a quick review. We always have new people watching, but these are internal. So your strengths and weaknesses, external, opportunities, and threats. But this particular threats piece cannot be underestimated, folks, because when major competitors enter your market, you don't want to get caught just asleep at the switch. You don't want to get caught asleep at the switch. You want to make sure you are on it. You are not playing defense all of a sudden and just reacting to everything that's happening around you. No, go on offense, remain strong, and yes, have some defensive strategies as necessary as you may need to implement them, but your whole strategy, your whole business operations and strategy cannot be going on defense. I mean, it's just, that is a rough way to live, not only in business, but in life. So remember the value of the SWOT analysis. And I wanted to give you a quick example here of something that is certainly popped up here. And I'm always talking about, our Metro Detroit market, folks, because I live here, I live this and breathe this every day. And obviously, particularly here within my suburb is the city of Novi. And have some interesting developments that I wanted to share with you. And of course, I received an email on June 25th, and it was from the Recreation and Cultural Services of Novi, so the city of Novi. So the title is Novi Parks Master Plan Survey. So this was a thank you because I had received a formal survey to complete regarding this whole issue of what they're planning and what they're thinking about doing and all of this and that. So this was a thank you for completing the survey. And so, long story short, we've got the city of Novi. We don't have a formal community center. We don't have a formal community center, and it's interesting. It's something that I had inquired about several years ago, and I was just told, no, we don't have one. There's different options that you have in this area in terms of obviously, if you want to play basketball, they definitely tell you, go to Powerhouse, go to Lifetime. We have other options that are nearby. And so there's long story short, there's no community center. And so things have, based on the feedback from this master plan survey that the city sent out to residents via email, not sure if any of them went out via mail. I just received this via email. So I had a conversation with my dad about this. I allude to my dad often, but this one, definitely, having a conversation with him about this whole planning process and requesting feedback from the citizens and residents of Novi. And my dad is actually the retired superintendent of recreation for the city of Shreveport, Louisiana. So he used to live and breathe this kind of stuff, the last 10 years of his career. And so I had a conversation with him about, what, Dad, I got a survey and this is the questions that they're asking. And one of them, and it was very pertinent, where they were inquiring about, the request in terms of feedback of a potential fitness center that you could, check off. And so we talked about that, and then he said, well, what the benefit is, obviously of a community center versus your traditional gyms, and things like that would obviously be, the community center is going to be free, and their programs are going to be no cost or low cost. And so when you think about from a threat standpoint, how important that is, because yes, the city of Novi has, recreation programs, exercise and fitness classes, but they are held at the Civic Center and places like alternate locations within the city. And so even from a community center standpoint, it would be wonderful to have a fitness center accessible right there. Fitness facility and equipment and all of that right there, available and accessible in a community center. And so I wanted to share something. I'm going to go to a different website here. And so this proposal, this whole idea of moving along pretty quickly. And my dad told me that, if there's interest, if the residents are stating this is what they want, it's going to happen. It doesn't matter how many other fitness entities and all of that are within the area. It's going to happen if the residents, decide they want this in the community. And it is truly something that is needed. And so we've got the Novi News. Susan Bromley had an article July 24th. And so the title is Tax Proposals Among Options as Novi Considers Roads Community Center Issues. And so this article was just talking about, and it highlights really quickly, during a special workshop last week, the City Council unanimously agreed the committees, which may consist of staff and council members, are needed to determine the scope of expensive endeavors and how to pay for them. Voters could see a ballot proposal, multiple council members said, though it wouldn't be until next year. So things are rolling along. They've got committees formed. I definitely am going to be showing up to city council meetings, speaking out in favor of this, of how our community needs this. And one thing you always know, as I've pointed out in previous episodes on these Fitness Fridays, is I'm pro-fitness. I'm not in favor of one type of gym, one type of facility, a franchise chain, whatever, private gym or studio. I am pro-fitness. So I am for all options in terms of fitness. And I think this will be a great opportunity for many people in our community to engage, and certainly at an affordable cost level. So it's just exciting to see what's going to happen with this. And so they are looking at, and it's of course something that I didn't go into much detail in, but on the community center aspect, it's very important. I wanted to note this before I wrap this up, this covering this particular article. It says, they also included in their study private sector offerings like Lifetime Athletic Club. So study the competition. You always hear me talking about what is your competition doing? What's going on? But that let me know some of their preliminary research in terms of the community center that they want to develop is going to be somewhat comparable to a luxury center, to a high-end fitness facility. Lifetime Fitness is a higher end facility, so that lets me know from a planning perspective, they're looking at something that's going to be extremely nice. And so if you're Lifetime Fitness, if you're Novi Athletic Club, if you're Powerhouse Gym, if you're Planet Fitness, even with that second location coming here in Novi later this year, is what the Novi News has reported in a few articles a while back. Tremendous threat. Crunch Fitness, tremendous threat. This community center is going to be something else, but that's why you got to stay on top of what's going on in your market. What's going on? What are your competitors doing? What's happening? Stay on top of that, so that way you're not surprised. So this will be coming down the pike, 2, 3, 4 years from now. But from a planning perspective, if they're looking at Lifetime, it's going to be major. And if you're not familiar with that chain, go to lifetimefitness.com, whatever their website is, Google it, and you'll see exactly what I mean. It was just a very interesting benchmark in terms of what competitor they looked at, what facility in terms of from a planning perspective is Lifetime. Very, very surprising that they didn't look at other community centers in some of our other suburbs. So good things coming, more good things coming here for the city of Novi. So just had to share that. And so folks, I want to shift gears here and talk about something that I'm deeply passionate about. So I've got to highlight it again. Good to great. So final thoughts here, obviously on this marketing series, good to great. So we talk about who is on your bus. So just to quickly review, because there's always new people watching, and I've got some examples that I want to share with you regarding, good to great, some practical examples here that I've certainly witnessed and observed and experienced. But so, okay, one part in this book talks about that the fact that, research was conducted. All right, so what are some of the behaviors, activities, values, and all of that of companies, businesses, corporations, all of that go from good to great, from good to great. So you may have a goal, with 2020, we may be good in 2019, but we want to be great in 2020. All right, to make that type of a leap, to make that type of a jump, and have that type of advancement and improvement, folks, takes time. You can't be good in August of 2019 and decide you want to be great on September 1st. Give yourself time. Give yourself time, and certainly give the people that report to you time. You will definitely benefit from that far more than just making these decisions, saying things have to happen now and all of that. So three quick things. So driving the bus, so you're good right now. Your facilities are good. The destination, great, awesome, excellent, number one in your market, whatever the case may be, whatever your final, your ultimate goal or goals are. All right, so you as the leader of the leadership team driving the bus. All right, just a reminder, only one of you can drive the bus. All right, so driving this bus based on your vision, going from good to great. All right, so there's three different things that need to happen. It's so important. It's number one, the right people need to be on the bus. Right people need to be on the bus. Do they support your values? Do they support your mission? Are they reflective of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish? In this particular instance, how do they feel about the fitness industry? How are they, where are their passions? Is it just going to be a job to them, or is this something that is part of their own lifestyle? Certainly, this is so important in determining who's on your bus, because you have the wrong people on the bus, and I believe this to my absolute hardcore. Many of the challenges that plague the fitness industry, especially on the commercial side in terms of turnover, is because there's a lot of entities and facilities are having the wrong people on the bus. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. A lot of wrong people on the bus. So the turnover is very, very high. Number two, another big reason for turnover is the importance and the need to have the right people in the right seats. The right people in the right seats. If someone's not the best people person, do they really need to be at the front desk? Particularly if they're there by themselves, where there's no one else that can kind of serve as a buffer and to kind of mitigate that their potential lack of people skills. If someone hates cleaning, is being a custodian the best position for them, within a facility or facilities? But these type of things happen all the time, because a lot of times, folks' need for a job, for income, and all of that will overshadow many times the job responsibilities. And so then when a particular candidate is hired, then it's all of a sudden, oh, I hate this, I don't want to do this, and whatever. And it all stems from just not having the right person in the right seats. Number three, getting the wrong person or the wrong people off the bus. Very, very important. Sometimes it happens naturally with attrition, they find better jobs, this and that, but sometimes it's not as pretty. And so I strongly suggest, if you don't have an HR person that can advise you on these particular matters, particularly in terms of terminations and things like that, get one now. You may not have a full-time person on staff, but you can certainly hire an HR consultant. They will help you. They will help, most importantly, they will help to protect you in these type of situations, to make sure you are following applicable laws, policies, and procedures. Because if you do things blindly, and it happens all the time, then you end up dealing with litigation in terms of wrongful termination and all of that, when you just didn't understand that there needs to be a process, there needs to be, things that need to happen in those type of circumstances. So you want to have those three, and based on this particular book and Jim Collins, the research that was done for the book, to go from good to great. Just so important. And so we think about being good to great and the importance of being in the right seat. And also, conversely, being in the wrong seat. And if we're honest, very few of us have gone through life always having been in the right seats. They're just, because we're imperfect human beings, we make mistakes, an opportunity may sound good, and it's truly not a good fit for us, whatever. So I wanted to share some personal examples from my own life, where I have not been, obviously you see me now, in the right seat. I'm very passionate. I love what I do. I love helping people. And so obviously now I'm in the right seat, but life is a journey. And so there's certainly been some instances where I have been in the wrong seat. And so we'll take you back to high school. I'll take you back to my high school years. A wrong seat for me was when I signed up for JROTC in my junior year of high school. So it's very important for me to note, okay, my dad was a Navy officer. He didn't do 20 years. My dad was a Navy officer. And so I had that particular, experience, and just, having learned those lessons. But also, my brother is a retired Army officer. All right, so did almost 25 years in the Army. And so I come from military stock, so to speak. I had a very, very young exposure. So when my dad got out of the Navy, and then he began to work for several service positions for the federal government. So, his first position was Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. And so I grew up in that environment, and later Barksdale, after we returned from Korea, from Seoul, Korea, as a family. So I have spent many, many years of my life in those environments and all of that, and been wonderful experiences. And I've learned so much, and particularly the discipline, the importance of being ingrained with that discipline that has helped me tremendously throughout my life. But in JROTC, I would be lying, the year I spent in that particular class, I would be lying if I told you that it was the right seat for me. It was not the right seat for me. I didn't know, again, we're young, we don't know ourselves well, we're still trying to figure out who you were, how we were. What was that, 16? And so actually I graduated when I was 17, but it's like I was 16, I didn't know who I was, and I didn't realize at the time that I'm not exactly, I tend to be more nonconformist. Like, I like to kind of go my own way and do my own thing, and that's just not gonna work in the military. And I remember I failed my first inspection. We had to, wear our JRTC uniforms, and then I had to wear this uniform. And I remember I failed the first inspection, and I remember the master sergeant going around inspecting our uniforms and asking, Private Smith, I'll never forget this. Private Smith, did you iron your uniform did you iron your uniform at all? And did you shine your shoes with rocks? And the truth of the matter is, I did not iron my uniform, and I did not shine my shoes. But that was an example. Like, when you're defiant like that, when you don't want to do stuff, it's not a good fit. And I say this respectfully. I love our troops. Our military is wonderful. Go military of all branches. That's wonderful. And certainly I respect and certainly have a high regard for all the different branches of JRTC that exist, for students and all of that. Wonderful thing. But just don't get it twisted. I'm just trying to say it was not a good fit for me. It was not a good fit for me. I had plans of going into the military myself, and I'm glad I did that. I spent that year to learn that it was not a good fit for me. I would have been kicked out fairly quickly for just being who I am, or even at the time being who I was. And so that was an example. It was a very rough year. It was a very challenging year. And I remember my brother would come home from leave, and he would iron my uniform. He was just so awesome. He really helped me make it through that year. And so I just wanted to share that as an example of me being, because again, I'm not perfect either. I've been in some wrong seats. Another wrong seat for me was, working at General Mills. Well, number one, working at General Mills in Minneapolis, but also living in Minneapolis itself. That was just a very challenging experience for me. And so as far as General Mills is concerned, I did my intern, I was at graduate school at Northwestern. They recruit a lot from Northwestern and University of Chicago, graduate programs. And so, went there, had a really good experience in the summer, was not too fond of Minneapolis at the time. So I look back now and just think, why did you make that decision to go back full time? And so anyway, even in those type of adverse situations where I'm not happy, I'm still going to do my best to put a smile on my face, to be positive, whatever, this and that, make things happen, and ultimately try to eventually exit the situation, which is why I ended up moving here to Detroit. But in that particular situation, and I look back now, obviously, promotion marketing role, a wonderful organization. They have won awards. General Mills, they do a lot for their people. Great place to work. But what I'm saying is that particular seat for me was not a good seat. All right, where I had to, I would spend all the time on a computer and on the computer, kind of tied down to a computer all day, doing Excel, and so that just was not a good fit for me. And one thing that I'll point out is that they hired, and I mentioned this in a few episodes before, but they had a psychologist on staff. We had to do personality assessments, profiles, all of that, online, before we had to submit these online. And then this guy named Bob Bender, who I'd never forget that, because I wrote him a thank you letter literally about a year after I moved to Detroit and was working in sales. Sent him a letter, but he had to, obviously, read our assessments, interpret them, and then he would contact us with the results. And I so remember talking to him on the phone. And he said, Rachelle, you're probably not going to want to hear this, but I'm looking at your profile. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm telling you, you need to be in sales. And that was so, I look back now, folks, and just, from my heart, I'll share with you, that was so threatening to me. Because I'm like, here I am working on my second graduate degree at Northwestern. Like, I want to go into marketing. I'm going to be a big marketing bigwig, whatever, down the road. Had it all planned out. And this man was telling me this, like, you're a much better fit in sales. I've been doing this for 20 years is what he told me. I was like, okay, thank you. I appreciate your feedback, and just totally blew him off. But now in hindsight, I realized just how right he was. And that's why I moved to Detroit, and I worked in sales for about a year, and I sent him a letter to Minnesota, and I said, you know what, I just want to let you know, you are absolutely right. I love sales. I'm very happy. Because why? You've heard me allude to this time and time again. There's some personality traits that I have, and just that are fundamentally hardwired into me. Number one is my freedom. I like my freedom. I don't want to be tied down, and it's wonderful. A lot of people have desk jobs. That is wonderful. That works for them. But I'm just saying that doesn't work for me. I want to be the freedom to be outside, and that's why sales was wonderful. I was free to go, free to make all the decisions, obviously with managerial oversight. But I was a territory, I had my own territory. It was great. It was great. On the road all the time, great driving. But also change. I like change. I like variety. I like doing different things. And so sales really, really fulfilled those needs. Not even just fulfilled, but exceeded on a tremendous level. Very happy in sales. I love sales. I still sell, regularly anyway. And so, but then I tell people we're all salespeople, whether we recognize it or not. But that was an example where just a career switch. I had to put that ego aside and say, I made some of these decisions based on a career track that I thought I was going to, move forward in. And even the consulting projects that we did at Northwestern for major companies, I look back now and recognize, that was very consulting based, not traditionally marketing position based, where you're going to be in an office with a team, doing strategic planning for the next 18 to 24 months, and things aren't happening very fast. And personality wise, I like to see results. And I like to know that I contributed to those results, not a team full of people from various functional areas and that have to have a series of meetings to make a decision. But sales was just the opposite of that. It was wonderful. But so that was an example where I was in, with good intentions. Obviously very well educated for the cause. But I was in the wrong seat and relocated to Detroit and changed careers into sales and in the medical field. Started out in pharmaceutical sales, then moved on up to biotech sales, and it was great. It was absolutely great. I certainly learned a lot, and that prepared me for a role like this that I'm doing now. And also, just keep in mind, we're all imperfect. But don't feel bad if you're in a wrong seat right now, but just do all that you can to get in the right seat. If that means having a conversation with your boss, if that means relocating to a different city, if that means changing industries, you deserve to be happy. Don't spend another day, if you're in this particular position where you're just, oh, this isn't working, I hate this, and this is a bad fit, just you have the potential. Change is up to you. You have to make the appropriate decisions in order to make those things possible. And so, as we're talking about this whole concept of going from good to great, it's important for you to know, and also we talk about people and how I'm always talking about people, whether I'm doing a survey inside the fitness industry, outside the fitness industry. It's important for you to know, again, speaking of being in the, in terms of being in the right seat, one of the hats that I wear is actually, and I've alluded to this before, talent and development. So I am a very well seasoned evaluator of people and talent. I do, so you may hear me and think, like, how does she walk into a gym and come up with all of this? Like, how is she able to see these patterns and piece all of this together, but recognize, this isn't just something that I do. Obviously, yes, it's something that I do, but it's not just happenstance. I'm trying to say it's a professional competency that you see and that you experience when you hear this feedback and think those things, like, how in the world, who could go into a gym and then come up with all these different conclusions? That's me. That's what I'm able to do. And I recognize people a lot, but I just do that kind of on my own, but I also do it on a professional level. So I just wanted to point that out because, it may not be clear to some folks that this is part of what I do professionally. And so this is actually something, an email that I printed out, and this is actually in my home office. And so this is from a project where I was a subcontractor. And so this is actually from August 29, 2017. And so one of my favorite clients. And so sent me this email, and I signed confidentiality agreement. So I can't discuss, the project and the scope and all of that, but I can share the feedback, the email feedback, and that is: Rachelle, tremendous job. Always love reading your reports because they are so full of details. Thank you. And then it's Z at the bottom for his name. So that was an example, but see, that is, I do this on a professional level. And so I wanted to connect those dots so you can understand kind of why I do what I do and why I see what I see and why I'm able to draw and make certain conclusions from that regard. And so we talk about recognizing people. I want to highlight one, before I close here. And you all know, my experience now with Michigan Medicine, how I'm just having a blast within that particular group and within that particular entity, I should say. And I wanted to make you all aware that with the exception of one physician, all of my physicians now, I have transitioned them to Michigan Medicine, all right, or also known as University of Michigan Health System. So I have been so impressed, during the clinical trial process has been fantastic. Learned tons, but been so impressed by the level and standard of care. And again, this is coming from someone, I spent almost 8 years in that environment. I mean, obviously, University of Michigan was one of my accounts back in the day. They were extremely tough, just so you know, but it's interesting being on the other side now as a patient. But so I've been so impressed, and so I evaluated, my list of physicians that I see, the primary care physician, and then the specialist that I see, and determined, all but one, that I've switched them all over to Michigan Medicine. And so I have been just in awe of what I experienced. And so I submitted another Making a Difference award. I talked about this a number of episodes ago, and just how your people, in terms from a marketing standpoint, is extremely powerful. Going back to the SWOT analysis, your people is so important. And your folks, your online reviews, all of that, surveys, just talking to members, they'll tell you, but it's so important to have a strength be your people, your staff, and all of that. And so I read a couple of, the folks that I submitted for the Making a Difference award that University of Michigan or Michigan Medicine has. Submitted a couple of folks a while back, a few weeks ago, but I submitted another one. So this one I submitted on July 12th. And it was for an employee in the Brighton Center for Specialty Care, and her name was Devin DeAngelis. So she was a medical assistant. So again, from my medical staff, we had kind of at the beginning or at the bottom of the totem pole, medical assistant, nurse, physician, there's different levels, but she was extraordinary. So I'm going to quickly read this. I was a new patient of Dr. Greenberg on July 5th, 2019 at the Brighton Clinic. Devin called me back 12 minutes early for my 8:10 a.m. appointment. I appreciated the timeliness. Despite it being early in the morning, she was energetic and enthusiastic. She welcomed me to the office. I told her I was a healthy volunteer for Michigan Medicine clinical trials. I also shared that I have been so impressed by the quality of care at Michigan Medicine that I am in the process of transitioning all but one of my personal physicians to Michigan Medicine. She explained that she worked at an external private practice before her current role, and she was also amazed and subsequently switched to all Michigan Medicine doctors as well. She gave me tips to make my transition. I was so grateful. Her positive attitude, commitment to patient satisfaction, and willingness to share her own personal experiences was awesome. She really enjoys her job. Please thank her for me. So again, the details that I go into when I give feedback based on experiences. And so, when you hear this, keep in mind that I do these type of things professionally, because you can hear that and think that how could she get all that just from having a very short interaction with a medical assistant at Michigan Medicine or anywhere else where it may be. But see, I'm looking for different things. I'm evaluating body language. I'm, in terms of me being able to pick up on terms of enjoying her job. I'm asking questions. I can draw that out of people. Is what I'm saying. If I think someone like, wow, this is an employee that's extremely engaged, I can draw that out. I can pick that up very quickly based on nonverbals and body language, as well as just asking questions or listening to the people. Sometimes I even ask questions, just listening to the person talk. But for her, she said, oh yes, I worked in a private practice, and when I started working here, I was blown away. And so she went on to give me some valuable information in terms of, making my transition over to Michigan medicine. And so was a very highly engaged employee, very passionate about her job, wanted to be there, fantastic attitude. And I am always very big on recognizing those type of people, particularly engaged employees, because study after study has shown, you can Google it, from an HR perspective, most people, the overwhelming majority of people in the workplace are disengaged. They're not happy. They're doing the minimum in order to get a paycheck and keep that paycheck coming, and so it's so important that you recognize the engagement and how important that is, and what you can do to increase and improve upon the engagement level. But as you've heard me allude to, it seems like a million times over the years, the fact that I'm always looking for positive outliers and the bell curve, because most people, entities, employees, all of that are going to fall right here in the middle. The mean, the median, the average, all of that. But I'm always looking for positive outliers. And so I'm nominating positive outliers like Devin DeAngelis in this particular example for the Making a Difference Award from Michigan Medicine. And so I want to close here with a couple of Planet Fitness examples here on employee engagement. And so these couple of examples stem from a couple of PF Adventure locations that I've been on, and actually took some notes. I had to write this down because it's in my brain. I know what I'm looking for. I know what I experience, and so I got to make sure to put this down so I'm communicating from a whole picture perspective, so you can see how I notice patterns, how I draw conclusions, and from a leadership development standpoint, this is something that you can also do as you're interacting with employees, you're interacting with staff, and all of that. Look for patterns, positive patterns, and certainly also negative patterns, but also consistency and inconsistency. If there's anything more frustrating in the workplace or in any situation, I know for me personally, is inconsistency. And so this is something that I want to just pick these two. There's a number of folks I could have also picked, but wanted to pick these two because they're very, very strong examples, but they're also folks on leadership tracks, and so wanted to highlight that. So first, you've heard me mention Charismatic Leo. Charismatic Leo from the Bossier City Planet Fitness in Shreveport, actually Bossier City, Louisiana, but it's considered Shreveport-Bossier is the market. But Bossier City, that club opened up in June of 2018. And so I've watched Leo evolve from the regular member service representative at the front desk to a shift lead, and he got that promotion pretty quickly, and I was excited to see that when I walked in the next time I was in town and saw his name tag with that shift lead, because he absolutely deserves it. So when I'm observing people, when I'm experiencing things, when I'm evaluating situations and people, there's things that I'm always looking for, and of course from an employee standpoint, engagement. You hear me talk about that, engagement, how engaged is the person? And so when we look at Leo as an example, and so I've got some numbered kind of scenarios here to kind of highlight and reinforce my point here. So my first experience, or my first interaction with Leo, I remember that, walked into the club, and so there was actually a wait for a hydro massage. And so I remember going up to the front desk and giving him my key card to scan, and then he said, there's going to be a wait. I think it was like 5 minutes or 6 minutes or something like that. And I said, oh, you know what? I need to just come back. And he literally talked me into staying. He said, why are you don't want to make a separate trip back. Just go ahead and hang out here. Just have a seat. It'll be done for you. It'll be done and ready for you before long. And that certainly got my attention, because a disengaged employee is not going to care. A disengaged employee is just going to let you walk right out of it. Oh, you don't want to do that? Oh, you want to cancel your membership? Oh, whatever. But an engaged employee is going to challenge the decision, regardless of if the person's trying to cancel, if a person is complaining, whatever. An engaged employee is going to put forth the effort particularly from a customer service standpoint. Now, another thing you may not know, but customer service is one of my training areas. And so I was very, very impressed when I saw how he was talking me and actually successfully talked me into staying, because I went and had a seat, enjoyed that hydro massage. I haven't been on the hydro massage, ironically since February of this year, because my back issue, chiropractor fixed it, so it's great. But this was an example. I was able to glean from the days when I used the hydro massage. Okay, so the next visit, I was in town. I noticed with Leo walking around the gym. Now, Leo is tall. He has a more commanding presence. So walking around the gym, he's working there by himself that particular morning, but still walking the perimeter of the gym, checking things out, making sure things are in place, nothing's going on. So again, another engaged employee that cares about what is going on in the facility. Even though he's by himself, he could have stayed planted at the front desk, but no, that's something he consistently does. Walks around the gym, checking on people. And in this particular instance, I noticed that because the trainer was there, a young lady, and she and her small group, were doing floor exercises. So they were in the stretching area doing floor exercises. And so Leo was walking around, and I'm sure he was wondering, where's the trainer? Because Planet, if you haven't been to Planet, they have partitioned off sections, and they tend to have these, you kind of have to look over the partitions. And so he was walking around, and I saw him look over and glance, like, oh, okay, there the trainer is, everything is cool. So he nodded and then kept right on going to his other areas. So someone that cares about what is going on in the facility. He could have been, okay, the trainer is fine, wherever she is, whatever she's doing, but he's making sure, and was making sure that things on his watch were cool and everything was in order. Another example, I was waiting again for the hydro massage, but because he was helping someone, he was wrapping up, someone had just joined the club, and I so remember this. And I was waiting for the hydro, standing behind this guy who had just joined was off to the side. And so Leo was wrapping up with him, and so I remember Leo saying, and I wrote it down, the quote exactly, "Thank you for joining Planet Fitness, sir. We are glad to have you as a member," and shook his hand. And the man said, "Okay, I'm looking forward to it," and then he, left. But Leo was always, "Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am." Doesn't matter how old the person is. It'd be younger than him, older than him. Very, very, very polite. But that was an example. Thank you for joining Planet Fitness, sir. We're glad to have you as a member. Very glad to have you as a member. Another example, and actually I recognized him in my last time I was in town, to both his own club, and he was filling in at another club, so December 2018, and so he was filling in at the front desk at the newest club on Erie Drive in Shreveport. And so he was there by himself that morning, but also walked around the club, walked around that perimeter, checking on people, checking on things. But so what did that tell me? Consistency. All right, not only does he care and is he concerned about what happens in his own club, he also cares about what happens in another club. Of course, owned by the same franchisee, Sutherland Group. And so, hey, he cares not only about his own club, but he cares as much as, within a new club or a club that he was just filling in on a morning shift. So that said a lot to me. That said a lot for me. That consistency of caring is probably the best way I should say it. Also, I was waiting on the hydro massage again. And it's so funny as I look back and I think about some of these things and how I used to just absolutely be so crazy about the hydro massage because it was great for my back. And so as I was leaving, before I was leaving, the hydro massage used to be the last thing that I did. And so he was on the computer. I remember him standing, he was on the computer helping someone, was standing there. And he has a high level of, I haven't mentioned this yet, but it just occurred to me. He has a high level of self-awareness. And so that means if he's helping somebody, if he's on the phone, whatever's going on, he has a lot of situational awareness, I meant to say, in terms of noticing, are people coming in, are they going, what's going on, is somebody waiting, let me be attentive to them. So it doesn't matter if he's got two people standing there waiting, he's going to tell people hello and goodbye. He's just real attentive like that. So I had someone there helping on the computer, and then he saw me standing there, and I said, "Hey, Leo." He said, "What do you need? How can I help you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm waiting on the hydro massage." And he said, "Oh, okay, well, just go ahead on over there." And I said, "Well, do you need," and I was waiting, thinking I was going to have to wait for those people. And he said, "No, I don't need your key card. I already know who you are, Miss Smith. I recognize you from the Bossier City Club." And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I'm not in town that often in order to him to be able to associate me with that, club, his main club. But that said a lot to me. This is somebody that is paying attention. This is somebody that is paying attention and that used my name. But anyway, just wonderful, wonderful customer service. So he scanned, he checked me in, and then went back to helping those people, and there I was off to the hydro massage. But just a great example of customer service, of consistency, of caring. So I was very, very happy when I saw that he had been promoted to a shift lead. And I'm hoping during a future visit, one of my future visits, I will look on that tag and I'll see an assistant manager title. So lastly, speaking of assistant managers, highlighted Lawrence. Highlighting Lawrence again from the Rochester Hills, Michigan, my inaugural visit, July 19th of this year. And so when you think about, okay, evaluating people, what's going on, and so just my years in sales, yes, I evaluate people and I do these type of things professionally and all of that, good judge of people and talent, employee engagement, all of that. But also, those years in sales made me a master of body language. I mean, a lot of what I do in terms of evaluating people in all situations, our body languages tells how we really feel. You know, we may have a smile on our face, but if we hate our jobs, if we hate what we're doing, our body language is going to reflect that. I mean, studies and research, you can Google it. I mean, it's definitely how you really feel is going to come across. And so when you think about, when I give you these examples, recognize I'm evaluating a lot more than what a person says and all of that. Just the body language communicates a lot. Same is true for Leo and other people that I've recognized. Devin's body language at the University of Michigan Medicine, hospital, health system. Her body language told me, you know, if you're walking around slumped, if your head's down, you know, it's going to come across. It's how we feel. It's truly, I feel like I'm repeating that over and over again, but people don't realize that. You know, people want to go to work and plaster a smile on their face and do what they can to keep their job. And if somebody is really paying attention to someone is really keen on employee engagement and body language, they can pick it up real quick. They can pick up on that real quick when someone's not happy or about to quit. And on their way out of the door. And so in his particular case, so as I'm walking in from the parking lot, he sees me approach the doors. And so we've got somebody, again, who's paying attention. Now this location has windows, and so it's kind of easier to see that. So he's paying attention what was happening directly outside the club. So saw me approach, you know, I walked in the door, and then I noticed him. He immediately began walking. He was standing. It's kind of interesting unless you've been to a Planet Fitness desk, or actually any gym desk. They're pretty similar, where you have kind of the desk part and then you have the area behind the desk. So he was standing behind the desk, which is an area that typically has a desk type of thing behind. But so then he walked forward when he saw me. Immediately walked forward. So that says, okay, responsive and attentive. All right. So he grabbed this card scanner and held it out for me. Put a smile on his face, said, "Hello, good morning. How are you today?" And then, "I'm doing great." And so I'm walking in all fast. You know me, I always walk in. So I scanned my card and then, you know, walked in. And I was walking to put my bag in the locker, and I thought to myself, wow, he's an engaged employee. You know, based on his responsiveness, his attentiveness, the smile, his body language, he's an engaged employee is what I thought. So put my stuff away, PF Adventure, Rachelle is heading to the treadmill. So I look up, like, yeah, we got some low fans. The fans are going on high speed. This is going to be a great workout. The temperature was wonderful in there. So I hit the treadmill, running first, and then left there as I cross-train. So I do different machines in random order when I work out. So that's just part of me, just the change. I need the change. So left the treadmill, hit one of those rowers. And so here I am. I'm rowing my heart out. If you see me rowing the gym, I'm rowing my heart out. And then I see him over here in my peripheral vision, like cleaning just killing this darn recumbent stepper. And I was thinking, like, what in the world? I remember thinking, like, is that Lawrence? And I was like, that is Lawrence. And then I saw some folks, he was just killing it. And I thought to myself, man, that is an assistant manager just killing that machine from a cleaning standpoint. So saw that, and I remember sitting there like he was cleaning like he was the lead custodian in a 5-star resort, folks. In 25 years, as I alluded to a couple weeks ago, he definitely broke the mold from that standpoint. From a member of the management team, killing it like that was absolutely phenomenal to see that. So I left the rower, then I hit the stationary bike. He's still cleaning. All right, hit the recumbent bike. He's still cleaning. I hit the treadmill again. I always typically do a walking cool down, or sometimes I use the recumbent bike for a cool down, but it just randomly varies when I use it and when I don't. So he's still cleaning. And so, but keep in mind, my average cardio is between an hour and 20 minutes and an hour and a half whenever I go to the gym, so multiple times a week. So he hit that floor when I was on the rower. At least I saw him when I was on the rower. So that had to be about 20 minutes into my workout after running on the treadmill. He cleaned all the way through. So I hit the dumbbells, he's still cleaning. I hit the cable machines, he's still cleaning. I hit the hip machines, he's still cleaning. I'm doing a standing stretch before I head to the shower, still cleaning. I'm in the shower, I guess he's still cleaning, I don't know, but when I left, he was still cleaning. So my workout was a little bit more than 2 hours, and he was, from start to finish, he was still cleaning, when I was gone. And so there's some key takeaways from that situation. He was all over the gym. Like I said, like he was a lead custodian. And so some key takeaways here, finally, as I'm wrapping this thing up here. All right, a member of the management team, it's some key takeaways that I gathered from my observations that particular morning. All right, a member of the management team that has no problem cleaning. No problem cleaning. The length of time that he cleaned was truly remarkable. I mean, yeah, the cleaning, he could have been dusting, whatever, something like that. But he was seriously cleaning for a very long time. And I told you how long my workouts are. And he was cleaning most of my workout, which is truly remarkable, absolutely remarkable for an assistant manager. And a member of the management team doing that was absolutely remarkable. And so also, he was very focused on his cleaning, very, very focused. And this is a body language. I won't get into the intricacies of all that, but very focused. His body language communicated that he was focused on cleaning, not on making an impression. I think there's a very big difference. I mean, some people clean and do anything in life because they're trying to make an impression. They want to be seen. All right, this man could care less. His focus and his gauge was always on machines. He's got rags cleaning and he's dusting. I mean, he's doing all kind of things. Just very, saw him on his, hands and knees just about cleaning the recumbent stepper. Had no problem with cleaning. His body language, as I stated, didn't state, but it was neutral positive. And so unless somebody just absolutely just cleaning is their favorite thing of the day, then those are the people that are going to be like, this is me, but neutral positive, okay? And so that's just people that, just a neutral facial expression, but positive, saying, hey, this is my job, I got to do this. And this, when you hear me highlight people that are cleaning, that's because they are neutral positive in any situation. Sue, the cleaning lady for almost 20 years at different Powerhouse locations, but I met her at Powerhouse in Novi, neutral positive. I mean, this neutral positive, just really good body language when it comes to cleaning. And so that communicated to me that he's very comfortable cleaning, but also let me know that he cleans. That wasn't the first time that he cleans. He wasn't trying to make an impression. He's very comfortable cleaning. His body language communicated that. And so that's what I'm telling you folks, our body language tells us a lot. And I left thinking, just to draw this whole thing, to tie it all together. Man, he was an engaged employee. That was very impressive. And that's why I came home and did the case study. And so some of this, of course, is in the case study. But that's an example. I mean, these are a couple of examples of having the right people on the bus and the right people in the right seats. The right people on the bus and the right people in the right seats. And so when you talk about going from good to great, control what you can control. Control what you can control. And I actually utilize these in trainings and in seminars and these type of things. But I always like to highlight these. This has been a long marketing series. It's been a lot of content, very meaty and juicy. I know that. But all of my leadership series are. But I want you to remember, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all recognize, hey, maybe I'm in the wrong seat. This seat isn't working for me. I need to get on a different bus or I need to get in a different seat. But just recognize when things don't work out, perhaps you spent money on marketing and it's just been ineffective for the last 5 years. Forgive yourself. Just tell yourself, and these are some big erasers that I got from Dollar Tree a few years ago in Novi. And people love these because it really just drives the point home where you can just say, hey, my bad. I've had the wrong people on my bus for many years. You may be telling yourself that. But this is today, and change can start today. Just tell yourself, hey, my bad. I'm going in a new direction. I want to go from bad to great, whatever the case may be. You can erase those challenges, problems, mistakes, all right? And just tell yourself, number 2 eraser, not again, all right? What is that old saying? The experience is the best teacher. All right, and so we learn from experience, and the most important, particularly negative experiences, is just not to repeat them. And lastly, this eraser is for big mistakes. We've all made big mistakes. We've all made big mistakes. When I was in Minneapolis, hating the city, and it's a wonderful city. It just depends on where you live and all of that. But I'm very multiculturally driven and love multicultural diversity, and Minneapolis just wasn't it. So it was that, and then the job situation where I was chained to a desk every day. But big mistake. Wonderful learning experience. I grew from that. That helped me become the person that I am today. But that showed me very harshly of how much of how great of a fit sales was. But it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have learned that. If I wouldn't have gone through that. So recognize we learn from our mistakes. We learn from our bad decisions. So the most important thing that we can do is learn, grow, strive to be better, and to do better each and every day, in each and every way. And so, folks, that is it for this marketing series. There's going to be no more marketing for the rest of the year. Keep in mind, starting in the fall, so the next series, I'm going to be rotating now. Instead of general fitness, leadership series, general fitness, leadership series is how it used to go. But now I'm rotating, or I'm integrating public health topics also. So we're going to have leadership series, public health topics, and general fitness topics. So that's going to be starting in the fall. So I can't wait. We're going to have some fun, though. I'm going to have a couple of episodes on approaching people in the gym, and some funny things that have happened to me over the years and all of that regarding people approaching me and my reactions, and sometimes not so pretty and subtle reactions to people. So that'll be fun. But also going to have a series called What's Your Problem, where we talk about the problems and making sure we define problems correctly. So stay tuned for all of that. I cannot wait. I hope you're enjoying your summer and the rest of your summer. So that's it. That's all I have for you today. So until next time, remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, success, leadership, and marketing. Make it a great day.